In this video, we're going to talk about how to do questions 1 through 5 in homework 11.6. The directions are all the same. For the following equation, and they have the equation written down here, find the coordinates of the vertex, so we have to figure out what the vertex is, and indicate whether the vertex is the highest point or the lowest point on the graph. Before I give you the formula for the vertex, I want us to go ahead and investigate what these graphs look like in general so that the formula makes some sense. Right? Here I'm using Desmos, which is a free graphing calculator. And what I've typed in is y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. And I'm letting a and b be any number. These three things called sliders will let me set what those numbers are. And I just want us to make some general observations about the shape of this graph. So here, when I move a around, I can make it more narrow, I can make it less narrow, but it's still essentially kind of a U shape. That U shape is called a parabola. And notice that when a is positive, this parabola is opening up. But now when a is negative, like when a is negative 1, for an example, the parabola is opening down. And that's always true when a is negative. Okay, let's have it opening up. And when I move b and c around, here I'm moving b around, that parabola shape is moving around the coordinate plane here, the xy plane, but it's still maintaining its shape. And with c, notice that that's also the case. We're just moving this, in this case, it's just going up and down when I move c. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c will always be this parabola shape. All right, so the vertex is this point that is either the absolute lowest point if my parabola is opening up, or if my parabola is opening down, that vertex, it's still that extreme point, that vertex is now a max, right? So my vertex is that ordered pair, and I want a way to go ahead and find the coordinates of that ordered pair. Something really magical happens, and it's coming from the quadratic formula. In office hours, if you want to talk to me about why this formula works, I'm happy to do so. But right now, I'm going to give you this formula. Negative b divided by 2a. That turns out to always be the x-coordinate of my vertex. Do you see this number? 0.909. That's negative b over 2a. And that's always true. Check this out. Here, the x-coordinate of my vertex is a -1. Negative b over 2a is a -1. Now here, the x-coordinate of my vertex is -0.5. Negative b over 2a is -0.5. So in questions 1 through 5 on our homework, you are going to be using negative b over 2a to find the x-coordinate of the vertex, and then you have to go plug into the original formula to find out what the y-coordinate is. I'm going to go ahead and model one of those problems on scratch paper. All right, so I'm going to do question 3. We're going to find the vertex for this parabola and say whether or not that vertex is a highest point or a lowest point. All right, so what we've learned is that formulas like this take the following shapes. They're what we call a parabola. The vertex is an x comma y. The x coordinate will always be negative b divided by 2a, and you have to go plug in to find y, right? Right? Meaning plug into this formula, whatever these numbers are. We're just looking at something in general. There's my x coordinate. The y, the y. You got to go plug in to get y. Right? That's what y is in terms of x. And my parabola, let's label that this is called the vertex. This parabola opens up if a is positive and down if a is negative. If a is positive, then the parabola opens up, right? It looks like that. So what must be the case? That vertex is a minimum. It's a lowest point. All right, and if a, maybe we highlight here. If a is positive, you know it's opening up, and that vertex is going to be a lowest point. If a is negative, then the parabola opens down. So it looks like this. Right? So if a is negative, the parabola opens down, and this vertex here is now a maximum, or what we can say, the highest point. How about running out of color? Purple. So the vertex is the highest. All right, so now with this information, let's go ahead and do question 3. So here's question 3. We want to know what the vertex is. Now notice this is not written in y equals ax squared plus bx plus c form. And I think that it's helpful to go ahead and write it in that form. Remember, when you're moving, or these are 3 objects being added or subtracted to each other, we can move them around, but you need to make sure that the minuses go with the right term. So here, that 5 is a positive 5. And this minus 4 belongs to the x. And this minus x that minus 1 right there, x times x squared, that minus 1 belongs to the x squared. So if I move this around, I'm going to write minus x squared minus 4x plus 5. Right? And it might even be helpful to write that minus x as a minus 1 times x squared minus 4x plus 5. All right, so what we did right here is we just got it in this form, right? And the reason why we want to do that is so that we can identify our A and our B easily. Okay, and I just recopied this problem without color so that we can introduce some. My A, right, is right there, and my B is right there. I don't even care. Yes, this positive 5, oops, I said C because my brain was already over here. That positive 5 is C, but I don't even need it for my vertex formula. So let's just use our A and our B. So the x coordinate of the vertex is negative b all over 2a. All right, so it is minus a minus 4 all over 2 times a minus 1. Negative b all over 2 times a. All right? And that minus sign just means change the sign of b. It's really a minus 1 times b. So we've got minus 1 times a minus 4 is a positive 4, all over 2 times a minus 1, which is a minus 2, dd, division by my denominator. This is 4 divided by negative 2, which is negative 2. All right, so what we just found is that this x coordinate of the vertex, negative b over 2a, was equal to minus 2. The next step, because the vertex is an ordered pair, it's an x comma y, I got to go plug into my original formula to get the y coordinate. And because I got blue going on here with the a's, I think I'll just quickly change this to another color. All right, so we're going to go plug in to get y. So we're going to plug in x equals minus 2 now to find the y coordinate. Of the vertex. All right, so my equation here is right there. I'm just going to rewrite it, plug in a minus 2 for x, and solve for y. So y is equal to minus 1 times x squared. Remember, and in fact, it's helpful for a lot of us to insert parentheses around the x. So you make sure you square the minus 2. A minus 2 times a minus 2 is a positive 4. I'm sticking in negative 2 everywhere I'm seeing an x. And we'll simplify. So negative 2 squared is positive 2. And now we've got minus 4 times a minus 2, which is positive 8. We have minus 2, right? Minus 1 times 2 is minus 2 plus 8 plus 5. And that is equal to... I just caught a typo that you probably did. I know I did say verbally that negative 2 squared is positive 4, but look what I accidentally wrote. I'm trying to show each step, but sometimes my head is ahead of my hands. Negative 2 squared is positive 4. Okay, times a minus 1 will be minus 4. Minus 4 plus 8 is 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. We have y is equal to 9. So putting this together, we have the vertex, this x comma y is a minus 2 comma 9. And then we have to say whether or not this opens up or down. Because a is minus 1, we know that the parabola is opening down. We don't care that it's minus 1, we care that it's negative. Maybe I'll even write that. Because a is negative, right? A is equal to minus 1. The parabola is opening down, right? It's opening down. So what would this vertex be? It would be a highest point. And in fact, we could have just answered that part right away by just looking at what A is. Is it positive or is it negative? Let's enter this into the computer and then we will be done. All right, so my vertex, my x coordinate is minus 2. My y coordinate is 9. Remember, we always do these x comma y's. And then we have a drop down here to say whether or not this is the highest or the lowest. We think it's the highest. And we did great, right? And questions 1 through 5 are all like that. On question 4, instead of having the drop down for highest or lowest, you just pick lowest or you just pick highest. But the other ones are drop down menus. All right, we are done.